touch on was when you're exploring the town, we have a weather system, I guess a raining system. So the harder it's raining, the more danger you'll be in. So if it's just kind of drizzling, you might come across one enemy, you're in there. But if it's pouring down rain, you're just going to get mobbed by guys. So you're going to either be really good at running or take shelter in a building until it dies down.
Yeah, and it's not scripted, it's completely randomized, so the weather is unpredictable, just like in real life.
Would there be an umbrella in the game?
Now there will be. One thing we should mention is the town of Silent Hill in our game is fully explorable, and it's not tied in a linear fashion to the storyline, so you can actually explore, whereas in past Silent Hills was a series of locked doors, and it kind of was discouraging for players to roam around and look after a while because there wasn't anything to do. But in our game we have a large amount of side quests, so if you enter a building and you explore around, you may find something that you can interact with and kick off a side quest that isn't directly tied to the story, so it gives you some more reward for looking around, and those are also tied to unlockables and stuff in the front end. So if you make your way through enough side quests, you may unlock an interview with Dan Lick, the composer, or developer diaries from the guys at Vatra, or concept art, or that type of stuff, or the E3 trailer, that type of stuff will be included.
The creatures in Silent Hill are meant to be all sort of symbolic of the character you're controlling. So we have all new creatures. We don't harken back to any of the old Silent Hill creatures. You won't see Pyramid Head. We can't tell you how many there are right now, but there's a handful. If you watch our movie, you can see some of them more than you saw in the demo.
Yeah. Another thing I'd point out is that even certain types of enemies, like the ones you saw here, aren't going to be all cookie cutter versions of each other. So they all will actually have we'll have variants of these. So one screamer may look different than another screamer, just based on her clothes or her hair or whatnot. It's just so we wanted to have that avoid that notion that you're fighting the same thing over and over again.
So what we brought back from the old games, which a lot of people really liked, was the separate difficulty settings for puzzles and combat. So we're bringing that back. We will have puzzles. There weren't a lot in this. There was the start of one in the demo. If you play on the show floor, you can kind of see it. But just because we needed the whole experience, we didn't have it finished. But we do have a lot of puzzles, and they will have 3 different difficulty levels. So if you love puzzles and hate fighting, you can set the game that way, and then just enjoy the puzzles. And that'll also affect the objectives that pop up on screen. So if you set into easy puzzles, you're going to get more objectives. It's going to tell you, oh, you need to be thinking about this or go over here. But if you indicate by choosing hard, you don't need that hand-holding. You just want to figure it out on your own. You'll get a lot fewer objectives.
Yeah, so the difficulty levels also are for the game itself. So we have difficulty levels for puzzles and then difficulty for gameplay. So if you want a harder experience with your monsters but don't want to think so much on the puzzles, you set it hard and easy, and vice versa.
The boss encounters will be set. You have to overcome that obstacle.
They're actually, some of them you actually have to put some thought into it. So it might be I don't want to say a puzzle, but there's certain elements that you'll have to figure out in certain boss fights and how to defeat it. So it's not just go up and smash it with a crowbar when you're fighting something that's 4 stories tall. You have to figure out certain strategies to defeat something large. Yeah, it seemed like with the old games, it was a lot of and it did play into the creepiness, was that it was hard to control, and you felt like you wanted to fully go off on a certain enemy, but you just didn't have that capability. So with the newer systems and the technology being where it is now, it's easy to improve that type of stuff. But it's a fine line between making it very easy for the player to do it and making them feel too powerful. So try to get the best of both worlds.
It's about allowing you to fight and play well without feeling like a fighter or someone who can deal with the situation.
Right. At the end of the day, we want people to know that Murphy Penalty